Recently, I attended the funeral of my grandma Dawson and left feeling like there could have been more said at the funeral. And I also just left thinking, you know what, I want to record the thoughts I had so that way I can um, remember remember them. And so, in so doing, that's the point of this little video is simply for me to remember the thoughts and experiences that I had at the funeral, and some thoughts that I've had about my grandma, and also just to share a couple of those missing pieces I felt that um, weren't shared at the funeral. So one of those things then is that I thought was missing from the funeral and that I wanted to share is just some recent memories um, that I have of my grandma as she passed. I couldn't help but thinking while she was in the hospital and at the funeral, and since then, about some of those experiences that I've had. I uh, loved Christmas parties at grandma's, and those are probably the biggest and strongest thoughts that I have is going there every Christmas, growing up, and then um, not being able to as much recently, um, and it's been a couple years. But I'll never forget the skits, bingo, um, all of the food, the football, playing outside, Santa coming, opening presents, and loved talking to my grandma and hearing about some of her life experiences and just seeing her so happy and such a joy to be around. I also will never forget the visits that she and my grandpa made to Caldwell. They just seemed like it was a randomly stop by and come in and say hello. And she always had hugs for us and was always just so chipper and fun to be around. And that also just reminded me of when I was on my 2 year mission in New Mexico. I loved getting, uh, a random letter from my grandma or a birthday card from her. The fact that she remembered when she had so many grandkids and great grandkids, the fact that she could remember me and do that for me is something I really appreciate. I also, I don't remember as well, but I remember the camping trips and the fun that we had on the camping trips with our Dawson family. I always would brag that my grandma was a bowler and that she had lots of bowling trophies, and she was one of the best, and she was bowling until the end, which I thought was really cool. And another funny thought I had um, recently was just uh, a lot of times for Christmas we would get to open up a present on Christmas Eve, and for a while we would open up my grandma Dawson's Christmas present. But after a while, we realized, we never knew what to expect. And I think one year after we opened up, it was soap on a rope. We decided, you know what, maybe we should open up a different present. And her gifts were always thoughtful and sweet. But we decided instead of soap that we were looking for that toy that we were wanting to play with. Um, and so those are just some thoughts that I remember about my grandma. I love her. I appreciate her, and and I miss her. The other piece with regards to the funeral is I think that one of the things that wasn't said that needed to be said was she was um, lying there in the casket. And I know that she's passed, but I do not believe that she is gone. And for me, even though the funeral was difficult, and um, since then, thinking about my grandma and not seeing her is difficult, knowing that the extra visits or the opportunities for her to hold my children um, aren't happening or aren't going to happen. I do not believe she's gone. I believe that her physical body is in the grave, but I believe that her spirit lives on, and that someday that spirit and her body will be reunited together in perfect form, and that is all possible because of Jesus Christ. And to know that I can someday see my grandma again someday, and to know that her spirit still lives on, and maybe it is presence. Her presence is around at times when I'm thinking about her. Brings a lot of comfort to me and a lot of joy to me, knowing that I can still feel her at times and that I can someday see her again. And that knowledge comes to me through my beliefs of Jesus Christ and the true gospel that I believe he has here on this earth, that anyone can know. And it saddens me. It saddened me at the funeral to not have as much focus on that as there could have been, to know that we live on after this life. And it hurt to see family members so sad and heartbroken. And part of that I feel like is because they don't know that she that her spirit still lives. And I would love for them to know that. And I think that's a big reason why I wanted to take the time to make this video, is because I care about my family, and I want them to know that grandma is still around. Anyways, those are some special thoughts to me, and about a special person, and I'm very grateful for her, and just grateful for family in general. Family is so special, and I loved the opportunity to go to my grandma and grandpa's anniversary party last year, and to see the results of two people coming together and staying together. So many children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And I leave that with you, and hope that you are well.